more to read on how to transmute ideas into cash. I like the sound of that. How to transmute ideas into cash. You want to know that yesterday, one of the business owners that I met, he told me something that I was very shocked about. He was all like, you know, when you opened up Manzanitas, I was thinking to myself, what has gone wrong with this young man? Like, he's completely going to go into something that's going to completely fail. And it wasn't the first time that I heard that. I heard somebody else when I first started that told me, do you understand how many apples you have to sell to keep the doors open? And I was all like, yes, 5,000. So I pretty much already knew the numbers. But the whole point is that we're going to learn on how to transmuting those little small ideas into big cash. And I've kind of gone through it. So I want you guys to also learn that. Observe that Mr. Candler and Dr. Frank had one characteristic in common. They both knew the astounding truth that ideas can be transmuted into cash through the power of definite purpose plus definite plans. If you are one of those who believe that hard work and honesty alone will bring riches, perish the thought. Is that like get rid of the thought? Yeah. Okay. It is not true. Riches, when they come in huge quantities, are never the result of hard work alone. Riches come, if they come at all, in response to definite demands based upon the application of definite principles and not by chance or luck. Okay. Generally speaking, an idea is an impulse of thought that impels action by an appel to the imagination. All master salesmen know that ideas can be sold where merchandise cannot. Ordinary salesmen do not know this. That is why they are ordinary. A publisher of low-priced books made a discovery that should be worth much to publishers generally. He learned that many people buy titles and not context of books. By merely changing the name of one book that was not moving, his sales on that book jumped upward more than 1 million copies. The inside of the book was not changed in any way. He merely ripped off the cover bearing and title that did not sell and put on a new cover with a title that had box office value. That, as simple as it may seem, was an idea. It was imagination. There is no standard price on ideas. The creator of ideas makes his own price, and if he is smart, he gets it. The story of practically every great fortune starts with a day when a creator, hi, good morning, when the creator of ideas and a seller of ideas got together and worked in harmony. Carnegie surrounded himself with men who could do all that he could not do, men who created ideas, and men who put ideas into operation and made himself and others fabulously rich. I like the sound of that. Millions of people who go through life hoping for a favorable break, perhaps a favorable break can get one an opportunity, but the safest plan is not to depend upon luck. It was a favorable break that gave the biggest opportunity of my life. But 25 years of determined effort had to be devoted to that opportunity before it became an asset. The break consisted of my good fortune in meeting and gaining the cooperation of Andrew Carnegie. On that occasion, Carnegie planted in my mind the idea of organizing the principles of achievement into a philosophy of success. Thousands of people have profited by the discoveries made in the 25 years of research, and several fortunes have been accumulated through the application of the philosophy. The beginning was simple. It was an idea which anyone might have developed. The favorable break came through Carnegie. But what about the determination, the definiteness of purpose, and the desire to attain the goal, and the persistent effort of 25 years? It was no ordinary desire that survived disappointment, discouragement, temporary defeat, criticism, and the constant reminder that you might be wasting your time. It was a burning desire, an obsession. When the idea was first planted in my mind, Mr. Carnegie, it was coaxed, nursed, and enticed to remain alive. Gradually, the idea became a giant under its own power, and it coaxed, nursed, and drove me. Ideas are like that. First, you give life and action and guidance to ideas, then they take on power of their own and sweep aside all opposition. Ideas are intangible forces, but they have more power than the physical brains that give birth to them. They have the power to live on after the brain that creates them has returned to dust. Okay, so tomorrow we'll go over a nice plan. Oh, that was a lot of information for ideas, right? Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How are you guys feeling today?
Amazing.
Good. I have 2 ideas that I'm working on right now that I'm very, very excited to release to you guys soon. And I'm not going to, actually, I'll release them to you. I've been creating the first Mexican boba for the last 1.5 years. So it's the most interesting thing when you guys taste it. But my thought was, you know, boba already exists. Boba is such a good product. So I contacted the manufacturers, and what I'm doing now is we are putting every flavor into the little bobas, and we already have aguas frescas. So I'm really excited. And the reason I'm telling you guys about this is because these ideas are so insignificant, but everybody has ideas, or am I the only one? I think everybody has ideas. You wonder what would happen if you were to take some action on them. So don't be afraid to create. I think all of you guys are creators. I wanted to go over a few things with you guys today. Are you guys ready to take some notes? Because I'm going to give you guys some one-on-one coaching right now. And it's going to open up to what you guys are doing in business. It's very important for you guys to put down on your notes and start to really accept that the reason that you're going to be successful and the reason that you are successful is because you are in the best sales environment. You're getting coached every single day, and you're working on your mindset, most importantly, every single day. And trust me, I know it's not just about you guys, it's not just about me, but to be honest with you, I've been experiencing a lot of growth in the last 30 days just from really working on structuring and really working on putting together a game plan that I could execute. The book Think and Grow Rich calls it what? Definite purpose. Did you guys get that? You have to have definite purpose. If you don't have that, then you're lacking something. So I wanted to go over a specific set of things that I've been writing down for the sake of making sure that you guys are the best sales professionals that are out there in the industry. Again, I always tell you guys, a lot of these industries, the bar is set so low that everybody expects really bad service. So I wrote down 10 expectations that your clients have of you. And I know a lot of these things are common sense, and I used to take on the approach of these are common sense things that people should know, but the reality is I want to make sure that I'm vocal about them so that you guys can be better sales professional. Number 1, in a sales environment, or if you're out to get an appointment, the expectation of the client and the number 1 priority is for you to be on time. I would like for you guys to write down, be on time. And again, this applies to me, myself too. I always think to myself, man, I'll get there in 15 minutes, and 15 minutes is typically arriving 5 to 10 minutes late. The client's expectation are for you to show up on time every single time when you set an appointment. You want to know why? Because it shows them that you care about their time. Teresa, if I set up an appointment with you and I show up 30 minutes late, what do you think? You're like, you've done it before, Jesse. What do you think? That I don't care.
Yeah, you don't care.
So make sure that you guys are constantly on time. I've heard people say, if you're not early, you're late. That's what people say?
If you're 15 minutes, if you're on time, you're late. 15 minutes early, you're on time.
Yeah, if you are on time, you're late. If you're 15 minutes early, you're on time. And you know what? Let me remind you guys that you guys have a lot of these tools. Technology is so advanced. Set up a Google reminder and tell Google to remind you 30 minutes before. Tell the customer to remind it 30 minutes before. Matter of fact, technology is so advanced that if your phone knows that you're gonna go to that appointment, your phone will tell you that you're about 20 minutes away from your next appointment. You guys know that that's available, right? So it's very important for you guys to do this. Number 2, wear professional clothing. Very, very important. Nobody mentions it because I get it. We all watch The Millionaire Real Estate Agent. The Millionaire Real Estate Agent shows up and he has a V-neck and he's not dressed. You're not the Millionaire Real Estate Agent yet. So the reality is that if you're engaging in sales, make sure that your attire is very, very professional. You don't understand how many times I've put together deals just because they're like, wow, why do you get so dressed up? And I'm like, because I want to make sure that you know that I'm here to do business with you. Does that make any sense to you? Something that stood out to me is I had a meeting with a financial advisor, and Jesse's way of thinking was Friday was a very casual Friday day for him. And I show up to this financial advisor that handles of millions and millions of dollars for his customers, and I'm not wearing a tie. I was there to present to him that I could provide him a good service when it came down to selling his home. First thing that he said when we sat down, he says, why are you not wearing a tie? At that point, I got extremely red and I'm like, it's Friday. And he says, good morning. And I said to myself, wow, this is very interesting. And he says, do you know how big my portfolio of the money that I manage? And I said, no, I don't. He said, I manage over $1 billion in assets. He says, I put on a tie every single day because I'm representing customers. He told me, if you're representing people, you need to show up and look the best. So I always tell people in sales, you need to make sure that you're presentable. Don't do what the 80% of people are doing and showing up and they're not professional. Number 3, stay very well groomed and tailored. Stay very, very well groomed and tailored. The customer knows when you're showing up and you're like, oh man, he just rolled out of bed. They know that. The customer knows that. And to be honest with you, it's not a good reflection. And one thing that I want to throw out there is very important for you to work on your personal health every single day. I'm not saying to be perfect, but I'm just saying you need to make sure that if you're going to engage in a sales type of career for a long term, you feel good about yourself. And staying groomed and hydrated is a very, very good way of starting that. Tailored also. The number 4 thing that I wrote down that clients expect from you is they want you to be coachable. I want you to know that there's a lot of customers that think they know more than you know. Actually, I would say about 99.9% of customers know better than you do. That's just the approach. Every time I engage in a sales call and the person puts their guard up, would you believe that the customer is all like, I've already done this like 3, 4, 5 times and I know what I'm doing and I already know how it goes and offers. And then when we get to the nitty gritty, they're like, so what do we do? I'm like, I thought you knew. But you guys need to be coachable, because if you're going to go and talk to a customer and you're going to constantly try to prove a point to him that you know more than him, that relationship is not going to properly develop. So what I mean by be coachable is sit there and listen to what the customer wants. That's the expectation of a customer. Number 5, have good energy. You guys need to make sure that you guys have good energy. What do I like to do even before I show up to the office? After I do my affirmations, I'm going to put on a song that I can sing along to. Try to stay away from the romantic love songs that kind of get you down, but maybe something that's a little bit more encouraging. That energy is extremely important for the customer. If you show up and you're pooped, guess what? They're gonna feel it. I've lost transaction just based on low energy and bad body language. Where I show up and I'm not in the best of moods, and I sit to the I sit in the negotiation table or the presentation table, and all of a sudden I'm slouching. My energy is extremely low. I'm not presentable. I'm not presenting myself as a top professional. Do you guys understand why having the really good energy is important? My expectation also as a client, because I put myself in the client position as I'm writing these things that the clients expect, is for you to have knowledge on what's actively happening every single day in our market. What would I do for that is I would read magazines, books, and internet advertisements every single day. You guys need to make sure you guys stay relevant to what people need to know about our industry. So I wrote down, and you guys can write it down yourself, is read books daily. It's not that difficult. Reading books is very easy. The next expectation of a customer is you guys need to learn your scripts. You need to know your scripts like the back of your hand. Is that the way to say it? The back of your hand? Knowing the scripts will make you a better rounded individual. Knowing the scripts will get you to respond to people's demands a lot faster and easier versus you trying to figure it out all on your own. This one's my favorite. Be a good listener. Be a good listener. You know, Teresa and I had a listing appointment, and the lady said precisely, she says, I'm going to sign you with a contract with you guys because you guys came and you guys listened to me. The other agent just came and what they did, what they can do, what they do, what they can do. You guys need to listen to customers. It's very important. This is something that I always tell people. If you're not listening to the customer automatically thinks that it's all about you. I don't know why the psychology of that works like that, but people expect for you to be a very good listener. Listen to what they want. Expectation number 9 from a customer to you is you guys need to learn the real estate software. Like the e-signatures, you should know how to do the e-signatures. CRMLS app, you should know how to send properties to your client from the comfort of your mobile device. Know the CRM. Be very, very, very prepared to forward a property. And you know what, guys, I want you guys to know that I've sat in the car and I've told myself, there's no excuse in this industry because I could sit here from my phone and send all the necessary information. It's all about your mindset. The last one that is the most important to me is that the expectation of the customer, you guys ready for this one? This is the big one, is no excuses. You guys need to stop giving excuses to the customer. You either can deliver something or you cannot. What I mean by no excuses, 50% of the transaction will involve you having to break bad news. 50% of the transaction. That's where most agents struggle because they cannot pick up the phone and tell the client, hey, there's this big issue, finance, title, something, there's a big issue. That typically drags on for 2 to 3, 4 days, depending on how fast you can develop the courage. This drags on contingency dates, this drags on negotiation dates, loan commitment dates, closing dates. You finally let it get so bad that you call the customer and you give them the bad news. How many of you guys have been in that situation? Because I'm there often. Then once it's all came and it's on top of you, then you finally have to break the bad news. By that time, you have the listing agent breathing down your neck, buyer's agent, seller. Somebody was renting and they've given up their rent. They've done so much. The customer's expectation is that you guys have no excuses. You got to give them that information right there and then. What happens to me very often is in the negotiation of requests for repairs as a listing agent, I'll be like, the seller doesn't want to hear it. The seller does not care. The seller, matter of fact, already told me like a million times as is. I hold on to that information. I have my team give me the request for repairs. It takes me 2 to 3 days till I finally get around to it to make an appointment. I finally do the presentation, and the customer overreacts, not because of the fact that they weren't willing to accept it. They overreact because they see the dates on the contract and they see the dates on the request for repairs, and I've had it sitting on my desk for 3 days, scared that the customer is going to shoot down that deal. And I'm scared because my pipeline is weak and I have to have that deal closed. And somehow I've created this whole excuse behind it. The customer does not tolerate your excuses of why you didn't break the news. Does that make any sense to you guys? These are 10 expectations that I would set as a customer. So here's what I wrote down as words of affirmations. Write it down. I'm going to keep my word. If I say something to the customer, I'm going to keep my word. Like, does that make sense? Keep my word. Is that the right way of saying it? Mm-hmm. Number 2, I'm going to be organized. I'm saying this every single day. Look at my little blue thing and I'm writing down, I'm going to be organized. I am so unorganized. Go to my office right now and it's like a little tornado hit. Look, here's one that stood out to me that I feel that all of us as real estate professionals need to take on so that we could literally be in an industry where we could breathe, is I wrote down be debt free. I need to be debt free. I need to be debt free. How many of you guys want to be debt free? Oh, there you go. How many of you guys want to be debt free? I'm talking about like fully debt free. Oh, okay. You know what I'm saying? Like no. Capitalism about debts? It is, but we're trying to be debt free. Thank you, Catherine. Yeah. Yes, it is. Yes, it is about that. But no, I mean the right type of debt. The right type of debt. What I'm trying to get at is that you do not want to have those credit card payments that you owe $50,000, $20,000 on. It's like you're paying $500 of interest every single month and you never catch on. That's what I meant by that. But yeah, debt is good. We'll talk about it in the next mastermind. All right, the other one that I wrote down as an affirmation is be focused. I will be focused. I am focused. My biggest challenge is literally sitting behind my computer and literally focusing on what I have to do. And I program myself to like, Jesse, shut up, sit down, at least 30 minutes, be quiet. Because otherwise I am not focused on it. Like, and I go back to it and I'm like, even your phone, my phone has been telling me every single night, like, hey, you use the phone for like 6.5 hours. I'm like, man, is that what's distracting from my focus? So I don't know if you guys know that your phone has all that data that you can be collecting. Yeah, Instagram, like 6.22 of the hour. Just kidding, bad joke.
All squares.
And the last one that I wrote down as an affirmation, I will always be dressed professional. I will always be dressed professional. Always. You know what I love about dressing professional? That when I'm not dressed professional, people can't recognize me. So I'm like perfect.
Incognito.
Yeah.
The guy in the suit.
Yeah, it's like the guy in the suit. So here, other things that I wrote this down last night because I couldn't go to sleep thinking about what do we got to be very successful and have grit. Do you guys know what grit is?
Heart.
No? Come on. See, like have grit.
Grit?
Yeah.
No matter what, you keep moving forward.
Yeah, no matter what. You guys have to, does anybody watch TED Talks here? Or am I the only one that does that? Well, go on YouTube, put TED Talks, and then put grit, and it's going to give you like, even the speaker is so dynamic, like high energy. Remember I told you guys in the expectations of your customers having high energy, put on that song that you like and sing that song along. Some of you guys get to sales meeting, you guys have such a low energy, you guys are even mad inside your own car. It's like you're so pissed off, and you get to a sales meeting, you're going to the sales meeting, even your vocal cords are not ready to speak, and you're like, you know what I'm saying? So what I like to do, and trust me, it takes a building habit, is put on that song I like and I sing it out loud. Might be crazy, but you know what? It works for me. As soon as I arrive to the, I already have really high energy, and they're like, "Oh, you're so happy." And it's like, you don't understand what I was going through in the car. I just fought with my brain for like 30 minutes, or brain. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. One or the other. Whatever works for you, you just got to do it. Integrity to not cutting corners. We You got way too many corners in this industry, and I think we need to fix that. I think cutting corners is really, really toxic. Today, the book talked about not working hard, but working really, really smart with a definite purpose. But you know what? I want to tell you guys that the more hours you put into your business, the more you're going to get a result. Does that make any sense to you guys? Like literally, I know things look all beautiful, but I can't tell you how many times I've gone to my other business at 11 o'clock and my kids are sleeping on the floor and I'm doing what I have to do to get the production out. Those are things that you're gonna have to do regardless. You might have to do it here. You might have to be, yesterday I was hearing an interesting, I read an interesting thing on Instagram where Kobe Bryant went to the Olympics. He was requesting from he called one of the trainers at like 3:30 in the morning saying, hey, I got to train on specific things. You think you could meet me early at the gym? He said it was Kobe Bryant. I wasn't going to say no to him. Shows up to the gym at around 5. And he said that Kobe was drenched in sweat. He asked him, he said, I already been here for like 2 hours just training and training and training. You guys are going to have to train those long hours.
Tim Grover, relentless.
Yeah. So you have to understand, sometimes it's even just being there and the hours and the calling. Have you noticed that on your phone calls, all of a sudden you're a little bit better, you start to pick up a little more swag? That's all hours of experience. It's nothing else. So you gotta be willing to do that and work those long hours that are gonna take some of your time. You know, I've missed a lot of big things in my children's life, but would I do it all over again? Absolutely I would, because I'm paying a price. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pay that price. And I'm not saying I'm gonna miss everything, but I know there's going to be a time and day where it's like my whole attention is going to be focused on them. If you have a silver spoon, that doesn't apply, and I can coach you differently. But if you don't have parents that have money, you know what I'm saying? So short-term pleasure, you got to get rid of short-term pleasure for long-term success. And then I keep writing this down. You guys got to dress for success. Does that make sense?
What is the short-term pleasure?
Yeah, you got to give up short-term pleasure for long-term success. So let me give you an example of short-term pleasure. This is what happened. Huge fan of the National Football League. Huge fan. I love the organization as like, I love their structure. Like the NFL is such a large organization. They're so finely tuned. They're so precise that they're just a lean, mean money-making machine. That's who the National Football League is. I was so committed to watching their games that during my initial years in real estate, my Sundays were completely allocated to watching. How many of you guys know that football is a Sunday thing, right?
Wow.
You put football. So it's like first game is at 10 a.m. Second game is already like at 12:20, 1:25 for depending where it's at. Then there's a Sunday night game. First 3 years of my solid real estate career, I started to just every Sunday. And I had the finances to do that because, you know, I'm in a very good career. However, my productivity was so low on Sundays because on Sundays, believe it or not, that's when clients want to look more at property, open houses and all that stuff. So that short-term pleasure that I was receiving by going every Sunday and going to, you know, drink and coming home really late at night was something that I consciously sacrificed. And I said to myself, I got to stop watching those games on Sunday. Because if I keep doing that, not only am I dropping $500 from 10 a.m. all, because, you know, I didn't go to just the regular bars. It was like nice Hollywood bars or hotels. So it was all out. Anyway, I gave up that short-term pleasure for doing that. And I said to myself, what if I worked Sundays and I made enough money to when the Super Bowl was going to be with my team, I would be able to go, no questions. I don't care how expensive it was. I gave up that short-term pleasure of Sunday for 3 years. All of a sudden, my team goes to the Super Bowl and I'm right there with no problems to pay. Does that make any sense to you guys? Short-term pleasure for long-term pleasure. I'd rather get the long-term pleasure because the long-term pleasure is like, oh, we're gonna do it really big. You know what I'm saying? And if you do the math, I probably already had the money just from, and I think you were there several times when we used to do this whole Sunday thing. It was just excessive.
A lot of drinking.
Yeah, a lot of drinking. Not to mention that it was starting to develop a strain in my personal relationship. So it's kind of like sometimes your short-term pleasures are not even worth the sacrifice. So what I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of little things, and figure those things out in your life that are hindering you from really getting the long-term success. My thought is this: Jesse, stop celebrating your wins and only celebrate championships. Because too many people are celebrating constant wins, and they're like all these baby wins.
It becomes like,
Yeah, and it's just like
it's not gratifying. Though.
Yeah.
Like,
and you're looking for that, and that's cool. But the problem is that it's never about the wins. It's always about how big of the championship. What's a championship? Getting your house, setting your goals. You know what I mean? Those are all championships. You celebrate those.
Amen.
But the little wins are just, anyway, I'll pump me all up. Anyway, let's do our affirmation so you can get it done.